Krystina Powells is the literary pseudonym of Lorine Woods, who was born in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, but now resides in St. Kitts with her Kittian husband and her daughter. Lorine's love of history and knack for storytelling lead her to take readers on a journey that goes far beyond the beaches of the Caribbean and straight into the hearts and homes of all who open the pages of her books. Lorine uses her pseudonym, Krystina Powells, to provide a genuinely unique perspective and playfully addresses issues that some may shy away from. Join us in welcoming Mrs. Lorine Woods to Good Morning SKN. Good morning, Mrs. Woods. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure indeed. So the very first thing that I'm sure that our viewers want to know is why write under the pseudonym of Krystina Powells?
A lot of people ask me that. I think I write under a pseudonym because the name represents a part of me that most people don't know about. So that's why I chose to write under a pseudonym.
So is that part of your an author?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
the author, Krystina Powells.
So when did you become interested in writing?
You know what? I always loved literature in school, and I love storytelling. My mom used to take us to plays and live storytelling events. Sometimes my father would have us act out scenes. I guess those occasions made it like kind of awaken in me that desire to write stories. So ever since I've known myself, I've been writing short stories.
Your latest novel, All the Ghauts Are Running, was released in June 2021. And we're going to take a look at the book trailer right now.
So that was the trailer for your 2021 book. That's interesting for a trailer for a book. That's pretty interesting. What did the creation of the trailer involve? And is this something that people often do?
It's a lot of work. And yes, a lot of authors are doing that because it kind of whets the appetite of the reader. So they know exactly what to expect. We had to think about the vibe of the story. This is romantic suspense. I thought about the protagonist. In the beginning, I wanted to have Pepper's Aunt Ceci be, prominent. And then later on, we spoke about or showed Pepper in the trailer. My sister, she is into advertising and marketing, so she was really the one who provided the platform needed to create the mood that I wanted using the images and sound.
All right, so I'm a little curious because you've definitely whet my appetite as to the story of All the Ghauts Are Running. So what can you tell us by way of a synopsis without giving too much away?
Okay, well, it's really about a young bank manager, Pepper May Thornton. She gets this request from her elderly aunt to come to St. Kitts to check out a company that her aunt has a great interest in. Along the way, Pepper has to find out, ways to get the information she needs without getting caught. And then she meets local people, befriends them. They help her get the information she needs. And she also meets another bank manager whose name is Damien Finch. It's a physical journey. Pepper is taking a physical journey to St. Kitts, but she's also taking an emotional journey. And it's also an emotional journey for the other main characters as well.
Okay, so the book is set in St. Kitts, as we've seen. And St. Kitts has been your home for quite some time. So what about the island outside of the Ghauts that inspired you?
St. Kitts is a beautiful island. I remember the first time I flew over, I was just fascinated with the sugarcane stalks waving back and forth and the immense mountains in the center of the island. It was enchanting. The people, the culture, that was different for me at first, but I've come to appreciate so many aspects of the island. And so I try to bring those same feelings into the book.
And before we took a break, we were talking about her 2021 release, All the Ghauts Are Running. And now we're about to talk about another one of her masterpieces, Trade Winds of the Heart. So Trade Winds of the Heart, I think I like All the Ghauts Are Running because I could picture Ghauts running. But this is also a very interesting name. How did you come up with it?
Well, it is a unique name. I wanted a title that would immediately connect the story to the Caribbean. And of course, we're very familiar with the trade winds because they bring the hurricanes and the tropical storms our way. It was actually my husband who came up with the title, and I loved it when I heard it. There's something interesting about the trade winds, though. When they collide or they converge, they create this area called the doldrums, and there's a calm. And I think that represents really well how the main characters have these twists and turns in their lives, but then they converge, and then there's this calm when they get together.
Mm.
Mrs. Woods, now we have the pleasure of not only seeing your book and, of course, hearing the words, but we're going to hear some of the words of Trade Winds of the Heart from you. So I'm going to invite you now to read briefly for us, please.
Okay, I'll read an excerpt of one of the times that Kayla and Richard bump into each other. They do that a lot. And this happens during a local event in St. Croix we call Jump Up. It says, Richard glanced over at the colorful carts across the street where Kayla was dancing alone. She had a natural rhythm that fascinated him. He tried desperately to resist the urge to cross over, but he felt as if the winds were steering him in her direction. Eventually, Richard gave in to the flow of nature and said to his posse, I'll be right back. He left Jennifer standing on the sidewalk talking with Clay and Adriana in front of a clothing store and strolled across the street. As Richard got closer, he recognized the sweet scent of juicy berries floating around Kayla, and his mouth watered. The fragrance reminded him of the summer sangria berry crumble that kept him going back to a cozy little bakery in Davenport. The kidnapper making her wrongs, I see, Richard said, hoping she would hear him over the loud steel pan music. Kayla picked up a musky, citrusy floral scent and looked around. It was the guy from Paradise Mart again. She remembered that he had already called her a kidnapper when they spoke in the cafeteria at the hospital. You don't look like you mind being held hostage, Kayla said and snickered. I saw you wrapped up a few minutes ago. She looked Richard in the eyes. He knew it. She did spot him standing outside the jewelry store on Strand Street. Wrapped up? I'm just here hanging out with a few friends, Richard said, raising his left palm at her as a sign of honesty. 2 friends and 1 kidnapper, Kayla threw out, raising a brow. You're too much, you know that? Richard shook his head and smiled at her. Just then, the band struck up Pressure's song, Virgin Islands Nice, and the crowd went crazy. People started dancing and scanting in front of the cart, pushing Richard and Kayla over on the sidewalk and blocking the way between the cart and the shop where the rest of Richard's group was waiting. Of course, you'll have to get the book to read the rest and find out what happened.
Of course.
Of course.
I'm so enthralled by your words, though. I have to say I was hooked on just about every
You were?
line.
Okay, that's good.
And I saw, the play on the trade winds coming through in that particular excerpt. So excellent writing, I have to say.
Definitely. I think I smelled the fragrances and I think I heard the steel pan music in my head. So absolutely amazing. So again, this book was inspired by an island, St. Croix.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your inspiration? And also, have you ever thought about books outside of the islands? I know that you're an island girl. I'm an island girl too. Mm-hmm. But have you ever thought about any other locations?
Well, I'm from St. Croix, as you know, and, Crucians value their West Indian culture, although we are part of the United States. So sometimes the mixture of cultures presents some social issues. And I address that in the book. It was fun doing it, actually. I have considered different types of settings, but you know what? I think for right now, I feel the Caribbean has a lot more to offer than sun, sand, and sea. Mm-hmm. So I'm enjoying focusing on that. But I'm not averse to other types of settings, though.
Do you have any other books in the works? If so, what can you tell us about that?
Actually, I'm working on my 3rd novel. It's about to go into the hands of my editor, the manuscript. I'm just doing some self-editing right now, making sure I cross my T's and dot my I's. It is going to also be based in St. Kitts because the inspiration is from someone who I met when I came here to live in St. Kitts, an amazing woman. And I always said to her, I want to write your story. So that should be coming out soon too.
How exciting, real life stories. So you also have a reading journal. Can you tell us some of the features that this journal has?
Yes, the reading journal. I love it. It was created by a friend of mine who's a book marketer.
Mm-hmm.
So visitors can go on my author website, KrystinaPowells.com. They can download it, and there are tons of features. I even encourage parents to use it with their children, because there are features, for example, about where authors could make, or readers can take a note of the books they've read. They can even rate it, like how many stars they give that book. They can even make a note of books they want to read. And I have two of my favorite features of the reading journal is places I've been through books, and book quotes. I love quotes. So I love that one. The journal is free, and it's fun to use. So anybody can go on my site and download it.